朗誦節想揾 Edwin 哥哥幫手，好簡單啫，快啲填咗下面張 form，同我哋 book 一個上堂嘅 appointment 啦，或者可以選擇我哋嘅網上自學教材喎。仲有記得 like、share 同埋 subscribe 我哋嘅 YouTube channel 啦。喺呢度同大家上一堂咬字訓練先。喲
Hello， 我係 Edwin 哥哥，今日係第二集啊，咬字訓練，睇一睇呢首詩先。On top of spaghetti，OK，亦都講多次先，聲線感情面部表情同埋呢首詩嘅意思咧，喺第3同第4集會講多啲俾大家聽。今日純粹咬字訓練，睇有啲咩字我哋好難或者要留意啲咩咧？第一個一定要留意咧就係 on top of 呢個位啦 ，top of 就唔好 on top of，OK。分得太開啦 ，on top of 好聽好多 ，OK，on top of spaghetti，on top of spaghetti，instead of on top of spaghetti， 咁就冇好聽啦 ，OK， 咁呢個第一句小心啲。第二句小心啲嘅位置咧就係呢個字 anonymous， 好難讀呢個字，讀慢啲俾你聽 ，anonymous，OK， 不知名啊或者無名氏咁解，知唔知 ？OK，anonymous， 朗誦開嘅你應該知呢個字點解㗎 ，OK。好啦，睇睇第一句先 ，on top of spaghetti， 亦都一樣啦 ，on top of 個 pof 個位小心啲 ，on top of spaghetti，all covered with cheese 呢個 S 音係讀個 Z 音嘅，就唔好 cheese， 唔係 cheese， 佢係 cheese， 聽到個 Z 音啊 ，OK，all covered with cheese，OK， 繼續落 ，I lost lost 小心啲 ，I lost my poor meatball 嗱個 T 字可要可唔要嘅，有啲人讀 meatball OK 嘅，我覺得。但係如果你想嘅話咧，輕輕帶一帶個 T 出嚟 meatball 咁就會又得，知唔知 ？OK，I lost my poor meatball when somebody sneezed， 呢個就係 Z 音啦 ，OK 就唔好 sneeze， 佢唔係 sneeze， 佢係 sneezed， 好難讀呢個字，其實 cheese。同埋 sneezed，OK，rhyming pair 啦，當然就係咁呢個小心啲係 sneezed 呢個字，好冇 ？OK， 幾得意㗎呢首詩，演繹都係幾搞笑㗎，咁亦都講多次喺第3集先講演繹啦。繼續落咯 ，it rolled off 嗱呢個 DOFF 黐埋一齊就唔好 it rolled off the table 唔好聽 ，it rolled off 聽到 rolled off the table and onto the floor 好簡單啦 ，and then my poor meatball rolled out。rolled 有個 D，out 黐埋少少 ，rolled out of 聽到 T 又黐埋個 OF， 所以我哋擠埋咗一齊呢度 ，OK。And then my poor meatball rolled out of the door，小心啲呢個位，唔可以讀得太慢啦呢度 ，rolled out of the door。係你咬字清晰，但係讀出嚟唔順耳唔好聽，知唔知 ？OK， 咁呢個小心啲。演繹嗰度亦都一樣 ，OK， 個 roll 係好快撈出嚟咧，定好慢撈出嚟咧？喺速度個控制咧，演繹嗰陣時可以控制一下嘅 ，OK。但係呢度唔多講啦。但係咬字嗰方面咧 ，rolled out of the door， 小心啲呢個位，好冇 ？OK。好，第3段繼續落 ，it rolled into the garden 呢個 OK 啦 ，and under a bush 呢個好簡單啦。And then my poor meatball 係啦，有個 T 啦。如果你想嘅話 ，was 呢個字小心啲啊 ，nothing 好多人讀 nothing， 唔好揈出嚟啊仔，記住係 th 嚟㗎呢個 nothing，th thing was nothing but 好啦，嗱呢個字咧就好有爭議性啦。咩叫爭議性咧？嗱，如果你純粹查字典咧，呢個字係讀 mush mush 係 mush，OK。但係我話俾你聽，今次呢一個字我就覺得啊，本人覺得啊，唔應該跟字典讀嘅。點解咧？因為應該讀呢個音係讀 bush， 因為咧解釋俾你聽 ，and under a bush 嗱 floor door cheese knees 你見到全部都係 rhyming pair，bush 無端端會整個 mush 係唔襯嘅成件事。我相信作者啊，亦都唔知係邊個啦嚇。但我如果係嗰個作者咧，如果我寫呢個字咧，係你查字典咧係讀 mush， 但係我大膽話俾你聽，我相信啦，評判啦，或者有其他老師唔贊同啦，但我話俾你聽，我相信評判咧會想你讀 mush， 因為 bush and mush。咁 mush 係咩意思咧？我相信如果你講開英文啊，你都知啊，哇嗰啲 it's so mushy，I don't like mushy stuff。mushy 即係一撇撇嗰啲嘢咯，知唔知道 ？OK， 咁係你可以讀 mushy 嘅，或者你讀 mush 嘅，但係我相信喺呢一個情況下咧，我會讀 but mush，因為佢 under a bush， 所以呢個 but mush，OK。 啱唔啱唔緊要，你會WhatsApp 嗰度話俾我聽，你學校個老師教你咩，或者你跟緊其他玩朗誦嘅，你話俾我聽。OK， 我哋做個少少嘅調查喺 comment 嗰度寫俾我聽，你係讀 mush 或者 moosh 啊，定係讀 mush mush 咁樣啦，知唔知 ？OK， 我係讀 mush 嘅 ，but mush 就係咁啦。OK， 喺 comment 嗰度話俾我聽。OK， 繼續落啦。OK， 嗱呢度咯 ，the mush 或者 mush 都可以嚇，亦都講翻啦。OK，the mush was as tasty can be， 或者你可以讀。The mush was as tasty as can be. OK， 你自己話事啦呢個。OK， 我會 believe 啊，我 believe 係讀 mush 嘅。OK，the mush was as tasty can be. And early next 個 xt 音小心啲 ，next 就唔好 next 係 next 聽到個 t 啊嘛。And early next summer it grew into a tree， 好簡單啦呢啲。OK， 繼續落 ，the tree was all covered 有個 d 音啦 ，all covered with 乜嘢咧 ？beautiful moss。咩叫 beautiful moss 咧？Google 下啦，知唔知？如果唔係第3集、第4集先話俾你聽啦。但係呢個字讀 moss， 小心啲。OK， 繼續 it grew 有個 t 音聽唔聽到？就冇 it grew 係 it grew， 同埋呢個字好多時啊啱講 grew 啊，我聽好多 grew 啊，唔係 grew 係 grew 有個 r 音出嚟嘅。OK，it grew lovely meatballs。OK，it grew lovely meatballs and tomato。嗱呢個有爭議性啦，有啲人讀 tomato，or you can say tomato。OK， 你自己揀啦呢個冇 rhyming pair， 呢個冇乜大問題嘅，我就會讀 tomato 啦，但係你可以絕對讀 tomato 嘅。OK， 或者我都有時讀 tomato 嘅，係啊。OK， meatballs and tomato 或者 meatballs and tomato 呢個可以讀 sauce，因為 rhymes of moss and sauce。That's right。OK， so good lovely meatballs and tomato sauce 或者 tomato sauce 都可以。OK， 好啦，最後一段啦。So if you eat spaghetti 有個 t 音啊 ，eat spaghetti all covered with cheese 有個 d 音 ，all covered 個 d 有 d 音啊 ，with 係 th 小心啲，亦都講啲 cheese 就唔好 cheese， 佢唔係 cheese， 佢係 cheese， 聽到個 z 音喺度。OK，the cheese。Hold on to your hold on， 聽到佢唔係 hold on to， 唔可以 hold on to， 佢係 hold on to 個 don 黐埋少少 hold on 即係揸住啊 hold on to your meatball。OK，and don't 有個 t 音 don't 呢個讀 ever 唔好 ever 得太犀利，又唔好 ever 得太犀利，所以 ever 啱啱喺中間嘅啫。And don't ever， 最後呢個字係讀 sneeze， 其實咧同上面第一段咧係相應嘅，知唔知 ？OK，cheese and sneeze， 亦都講一次呢個係 z 音，唔係 s 音，唔好 sneeze， 佢係 sneeze 嘅 z 音，小心啲啦，好冇 ？OK， 搞掂晒呢首詩難唔難咧？都唔算太難嘅，你應該 handle 得到。應該，但係呢個詩我話俾你聽係一個非常之搞笑嘅詩。OK， 演繹嗰方面咧，講多次啦，第3、第4集先講多啲，同埋意思嗰方面第3、第4集先講多啲。呢今日係第2集咬字訓練，所以呢一集你要睇好多次，努力加油，繼續睇5、6、7、8、9、10字。OK， 睇到你好熟啦，每一字嗰啲 z 或者 moss 或者 sauce 或者 tomato， 你搞掂晒啦之後咧，先可以再繼續睇我嘅第3集、第4集。OK， 咁嗰度先教你聲線感情、面部表情，好冇？好啦，我係我講咗咁多先啦，係咁啦，拜拜。
哇，睇到最後喎，咁即係學到嘢啦。朗誦節想得到好成績，要留意以下呢3點 ：clarity of speech、interpretation、audience awareness。你啱啱睇過咧，就係我哋網上自學教材嘅其中一課喎，仲有好多要學耐㗎，例如面部嘅表情啦，同埋聲線嘅感情喎。Edwin 哥哥為大家準備咗一連串嘅朗誦 workshop， 快啲填咗下面張 form， 同我哋 book 一個 appointment 啦，或者選擇我哋嘅網上自學教材。仲有記得啊 ，like、share 同埋 subscribe 我哋嘅 YouTube channel 啦。朗誦節祝你好運！